Welcome to the Weaver Podcast, your guide to crafting relationships that thrive. Through insightful dialogues and transformative wisdom, we'll unravel the complexities of communication and connection. Let's weave a world where every relationship is built upon mutual respect, deep understanding, and harmony. I'm your host, SONJA Wood. I'm a soul-driven mediator and a visionary leader. I am devoted to elevate consciousness and cultivate thriving relationships. My deepest calling is to help all my clients create true, authentic, and extraordinary relationships where they are not only heard and understood, but also deeply respected. All right, welcome to the Weaver Podcast, and I'm your host, SONJA Wood. Today, we're diving in a topic that probably many can relate, but haven't yet named: the parent-child dynamic relationship. If you've ever felt like you're acting as a parent to your partner, or maybe you feel more like the child, this episode is for you, so stay tuned. First, I want to briefly, it's essential for the rest of the podcast, I really want to introduce the transactional analysis and explain to you very, very shortly why it's important and what it is exactly. So the transactional analysis is a concept that has been developed by a psychiatrist, Eric Berne, in the 50s. And this technique explains that every person has actually three ego states: the parent, the adult, and the child. And in relationships, we often unconsciously slip into one of those roles, and especially the parent or the child, instead of the balanced adult role. So you're going to ask me probably, why and how does this apply to relationships? Well, when one partner assumes the parent role, often giving advice, directing actions, or even disciplining the other, the partner may respond by falling into the child role and perhaps being passive, dependent, or even rebellious. This dynamic creates an imbalance impacting respect, communication, and long-term connection. So this being said, let's see how we can recognize and how you can spot if you have symptoms of the parent-child dynamic in your relationship. First, let's dive into the sign of acting as a parent. If you notice, for example, that you take on guiding or correcting your partner quite often, or you feel like you're in charge of teaching them, explaining them what is good, what is bad, what is right way to do things, or what is not the good way to do things. If you use phrases like "I told you so," or "Why don't you just listen to me?" Or even if you might be acting as a parent, literally. So this gives you some clues. Now, let's go into more the child role. The child role, you might act like overly dependent on your partner's guidance, always asking or not sure what to do. Or you may be acting passively or looking for approval frequently. Or maybe you may be feeling actually like you can't make decisions without your partner, or even if these are the signs that you may be taking on the child role. So why is it important to find balance and why it matters? The foundation of a healthy relationship really lies in the shared power, where both partners act from adult state, balancing responsibility, respect, communication. And in a relationship, you're always going to have this kind of power dynamic. One partner has powers over not, and vice versa. But in a healthy relationship, this power switch between both partner in a more flowing state. It's more circular. When the relationship gets stuck, it means that this power lies with one partner only, very often, if not all the time, that unbalance the power dynamic. So if the power dynamic become skewed, frustration, resentment, and lack of mutual respect can easily take over in a relationship, and we don't want that, right? But before I dive deeper in, I want to offer you a resource to deepen your understanding of your own relationship dynamics. I have a free question poll available for my newsletter, which includes a special gift to help you identify your relationship common struggles and find real actionable steps to create a more satisfying connection. So you can subscribe now with the link in description to receive exclusive insight, get your free gift, and get started on understanding your role in your relationship at a whole new level. Now let's go back in the episode. Now, you know me, I want to provide real tools, real thing that you can use for yourself. So I want to give you some tools today to shift back to an adult, to an adult role. I'm gonna get it. If you observe that you may be in your relationship, one of you may be in a parent or in a child role. Let's understand the importance of the horizontal dynamic. In a healthy relationship, as I was saying before, power is shared and in a horizontal way. Both partners respect each other's autonomy and value each other's input. By shifting away from the parent-child dynamic, you will foster an environment where both of you can grow and thrive as an equal partner. So let's look at some practical steps to make this shift. And those steps are something you can use right away, write them down to not forget them, right? The first tool is taken from nonviolent communication, but it's very, very powerful. It's a I statement. Using I statements when discussing issues, you can replace statements like you always or you need to with I feel or I need. And just this small change can really encourage open communication rather than control or blame. The second tool is practicing self-reflection. Okay, this one is a more long-term investment, but you need to really practice it. If you feel compelled to take charge, you can pause and ask yourself, am I acting from a place of partnership or a place of control? And similarly, if you feel you're falling into the child role, you can reflect on ways you can take ownership of your choices. And by practicing this self-reflection, you actually practice to go into the metacognition by yourself. And this is, honestly, from years of practicing mediation, this is the most powerful shift of mindset and attitude you can ever do for your relationship. I tell you. The first tool I want to talk about is the famous boundary thing and set clear boundaries. Yes, we're already going to talk about boundaries again. But healthy boundaries are very, very essential because they help to avoid slipping into the parent and child roles. For example, if one partner tends to control finances, for example, then establishing a shared financial plan where both partners have equal input and responsibility can be very helpful. So you're going from, one of the partner wants to control finances to, okay, let's sit together and put a plan together. And then you're talking adult to adult on this horizontal dynamic. And the last fourth tool I want to give you is to encourage equal decision making. But to use this, you need to practice the self-reflection. It's actually everything is linked to each other. So you can't involve your partner in decisions, in big or small decisions. For example, if finances are always a complicated discussion to have with your partner, then you can set up a rule that every purchase above X many dollar is going to be a joint decision. And this reinforces that both opinions matter, creating a collaborative environment and helping each other feeling equally valued in that decision making. Now, before we end for today's episode, I want to emphasize the benefits of balanced adult to adult relationship. because it's really a path to mutual respect and understanding. When both partners operate from the adult stage, respect flows naturally. You'll notice improved communication and a sense of teamwork, that you each take responsibility without control or dependency. And that is making your relationship really to the next level. Shifting to the adult role often encourages your partner to do the same. And that's why I always say my clients, when they call me, to not care about what your partner does, because people always come to me and say, yeah, my partner doesn't do this, doesn't do that, and all the complaining, and that's normal. However, I always encourage them to work on themselves, do something for themselves, what behaviors they want to receive, and embody that behavior, because I know that once they practice this for themselves, it's going to influence, encourage their partner to do the same, because that creates a mirroring effect due to the mirror neurons. So by leading with respect, openness, and accountability, you foster an environment where they are more likely to respond with kindness and with openness. This shared respect leads to a healthier relationship, a more satisfying relationship. So breaking free from the parent-child dynamic requires a lot of self-awareness. And that's one of the reasons why in my signature program, Self-Mastery, the first thing we do is practicing self-awareness, a lot of deep reflection. It's a transformational program specific for relationships, because we practice a lot, and at the beginning of the program, my focus is the self-awareness, self-consciousness, and the metacognition. So, breaking free from any dynamic in a relationship that is not making you happy is going to require a lot of self-awareness. But this particular case of the parent-child dynamic also requires empathy and commitment to balance. I think there is a very misconception where we think, okay, we go to see a therapist, for a relationship struggle, or we are going to see a counselor, a coach, or mediator, and many people expect the thing to be solved within 2 hours or maybe one session. However, when you have some behaviors that are not making you happy in your relationship, it's not a switch overnight. It's not something that just switch in an hour or two. It's something that you need to stick to. It's a commitment to rebalance that dynamic. So by learning to operate from the adult role, you set the stage for a relationship where respect, love, and equality can really thrive. That's all what I wanted to share today. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider subscribing to the Weaver podcast for more relationship building insights. And if you find this discussion valuable, please leave a rating or comments to help others discover the podcast and join our community. And thank you so much for listening. And until next time, bye-bye.